are tuned into my weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced and get happy with Dr. Marissa. And this show is about hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So I have shows and topics.
Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. Thursday, Friday, happy days.
Monday, Tuesday,
Happy days.
Wednesday, Thursday,
Happy days.
Friday, whatever.
Happy days.
What a day. Na, 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 na.
I love you.
I love you too.
Best known as the mom from Happy Days, and she is a delightful 89-year young Marion Ross to my studio. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Dr. Marissa, this is such a treat for me. Oh. My goodness, you're a wonderment.
Which is exactly the kind of guest that I like. Those who have gone through life, good and bad, and then taken those experiences to alchemize them into the person they are now and doing good on the planet. I'd like you to welcome Corey Feldman.
If you're grateful for it and you say right away, thank you, God. Oh, my God, it's so beautiful. I'm so blessed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Then guess what? More good things will come to you.
Does this sound familiar at all? She's back again to mark my Cancer Awareness and Prevention Month show. Please welcome Fran Drescher. Hi, Fran.
On and supporting cancer schmance. I really appreciate it.
So what would you say are some of the biggest myths, Fran, that people have about cancer?
Well, I would say that they think that there's a cure for it.
Okay.
Instead of a cause for it.
This is the first call-in show when I get to be Dr. Marissa, the kinder, gentler Dr. Laura. And people call in to get their life tires balanced and their critical thinking or their BS, their belief systems, smog checked. And today I am delighted to have Malie calling in from Birmingham, Alabama.
We could go 90 days and end up having terrible sex. And then you say, well, the relationship's not all about sex. Well, if I'm not getting great sex from you, then I'm going to get it from somebody else. Right?
That moose just got put on the table. And I see Josh and Jim.
I have to agree
You're
with Clyde.
both nodding. Ramon's sort of half nodding because his wife's listening. But
I understood what was going to happen if Muhammad Ali's youngest daughter, made public that I was going to become a boxer. So I wanted to make sure this was the path that I wanted to go down.
You are absolutely fabulous, beautiful inside and out. And I'm giving you Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award today.
Thank you.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic boy.
When I go, I'm gone.
Are you lonely?
No.
Nah, I knew that was going to be
But
the answer.
I surround myself with people. I mean, I'm always the one cooking for things. Or I'm always the one that decorates first and come to my house. All the orphans that have no place.
I'm going to have no place to go, so I can come over.
Come on over.
And life is so amazing if we can see it.
Get off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balance with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News Radio, CNBC News, and NBC Sports radio station, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, Amazon Music, Tiki Live, Rumble, Podchaser, Streaker, and more. Spreaker, not Streaker. And this is a show about hope and happiness, so there's no gossip, no scandal, and no K-words. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So if you missed any of the humanitarian shows, and I'm really grateful that I've been able to have some heavy hitters who've been on Larry King Live and Ellen and Oprah, lots of past A-list, both celebrity side, but not most important. They're all important, but I am very proud of some of the special guests that I've had who've highlighted internationally, things that we need to focus on, shining the light on areas of temporary darkness. And one of those areas, if you have been surfing or looking for something to watch that's important, that is circulating out there, if you have not watched Blackfish or The Cove is about the slaughter of the dolphins in Taiji, Japan, and Rick O'Berry, who The Cove was based upon, was a very special guest on my show a couple of times. So go watch The Cove on Netflix and then watch the interview with Rick, because unlike normal radio, these interviews are all captured thanks to technology and thanks to 590 consecutive weeks on the air and 1,000, and I believe we're on 1,003 show podcasts. Mine actually get to be memorialized on my YouTube channel. So if you have not free subscribed, please go there. You will get all 1,003, I believe, shows there so that you can watch it at your leisure. I'm so proud to find out that a few of my friends went in the car of my other friend, and he's got all my podcasts lined up as he's driving. So you are free and welcome to do so as well. Thank you, Beeper Mike. Also, I am spotlighting today a very special interview that I had with another humanitarian who was not just, I don't want to give it all away before we have breakfast and the gratitude sandwich. But if you can remember when I had an interview from a gentleman from Africa who was caught in the Rwandan genocide and had his hands cut off here. And as a result, he is now, I'll skip to the very end, running a rehabilitation center for others who suffered loss of limb during the genocide. And why am I spotlighting that interview today? Today is, and one of the nice places on the internet that I go to is the National Day Today website. And if I can pull it up here, it is the International Day of Remembering Victims and that were affected by religious beliefs. So religion has had a
an extremely not knocking religion fully, but it is thanks to religion that we've seen so many deaths, ethnic cleansing, and that is definitely the downside of religion. I know that religion has helped many, many people restore faith or hope in life, and I'm not knocking that, but there is a downside to dogma and religious beliefs that lead people to kill any other race that is against or not their religion. And we're not seeing killing, but we are seeing victims in in our country today. And the more that Christianity is used to persecute gay, our LGBTQA plus community, this is an important day to remember and to look at what can happen negatively when religion is used as a weapon to discriminate and to kill other people. And so I wanted to spotlight today and mark today's International Day of remembering victims to highlight one of my humanitarian and very important interviews that I did some years ago with Frederick, and I can't pronounce his last name, but you will get to enjoy that interview. I've invited actually Jean Baptiste. I don't know if he's going to be able to come on because of his internet, and Linda Romano, who is the executive director of Jesse's Place. And Jesse is on the other side now. She's passed. She's in heaven, loving us from there. But she was moved by knowing about Frederick and what he was doing in Rwanda. So Jesse's Place is right now still doing important work, and I'm going to be looking that up to encourage you to give some money, energy, volunteer, whatever it is that you want to do to help with that effort, because that's why we're here on earth, is to feel and enjoy and find our one-of-a-kind wonderful. And for all of us, there is a place for pain. And when we've had pain of any kind, it is when we make it through that pain, a place of power that we can use that to find a cause or naturally gravitate towards something that we understand the pain and can help with. So anyone who has been a victim of any kind of tragedy that is related to being persecuted or discriminated of any kind can certainly be inspired by this spotlight interview with Frederick, who really did suffer the loss of his limbs, and we'll get to that story. All right. Let's see. Oh, Frank is also contributing. Frank's my new sound engineer. I love the way that he doubles as my sound engineer and as my audience, and I love that. He said a member of my community was gunned down over a pride flag displayed in her shop by a radicalized person on the 18th. Wow. So that's, it's funny, not funny, Frank. I wasn't really going to make the tie to the States today, and I just had that inspiration as I was speaking. I was going to focus more on Rwanda, but yeah, it is. We've done so much by the end of Obama's administration to really, gain some momentum around valuing diversity. And I know in my own work as an organizational psychologist doing that and getting our country to a place where it was way more valuing, but we took some very significant steps backwards with the next administration, and certainly with this rallying for the next this next election. I see all these signs that we've gone backwards overturning Roe versus Wade, more and more hate crimes. And Frank, I'm sorry for your friend who suffered that. Hopefully she's okay. Gunned down. I'm hoping that she's recovered. If she has passed, give me her name and we'll do a breath of peace and comfort to her family. All right. Okay. So gratitude sandwich. Frank's going to participate again since he demonstrated yesterday that he's really good at this. And we still have to find out from Sam how you can actually put your voice on here so I don't have to read. But gratitude, taking a bite of my gratitude sandwich is something that I started last year with starting the day with 8 specific things that you're grateful for. Dr. Wayne Dyer, who is another beautiful teacher of mine on the other side, he says 5 things every morning. I'm an overachiever. 8 is a lucky number in Chinese. That's why we do 8. And we can do this real quick. What are you grateful for? And then the bottom of the button is what you like about yourself. Because if you can't approve of yourself, how the fork can other people do so? All right, here we go. I am grateful for YouTube videos that I can do workout exercises in the comfort of my home studio before going live. I am grateful that the storms are over in the sense that I can actually travel. I'm grateful that I have a zippy doodah car named Panda. It's a little white Miata convertible that I have the pleasure of traversing this Southern California with. I am grateful that I have this platform to celebrate a day like this that recognizes victims who have suffered as a result of religious dogma. 5, I am grateful that I have a sound engineer that is happy to answer all of my requests. And Frank is grateful for his boss. He took me in during the storm so I wouldn't need to miss Monday's show. Oh, I'm guessing you're talking about Mark. And I am also very grateful for Mark, our station manager, who really does go above and beyond all the time. So, you know, I'm going to actually give Mark, because we don't do this, because he still owes me a call back, but I know he's juggling super califragilistic expialidocious things. And what I'm trying to do is let everybody know that I have moved to the 9 a.m. hour. Hopefully you're finding me. I know the numbers are down right now, but hopefully, you know what? I'm just going to record it now and maybe we can cut it. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live from my living room. You know me as the positively opinionated host of Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, the station that leaves no listener behind. And if you haven't noticed, I have been moved to help spread more hope and happiness to the 9 a.m. hour. So I hope that you will be tuning in every weekday morning and go and have the best day ever. Okay, there it is. Hopefully we can cut that and put it on the other commercials and channels since you're such a great editor, Frank. Hey, there we go. And then I'm going to give Mark some. Oops, there it is. All right, there is the gratitude for your morning. Now for tonight, I want you to do appreciations for yourself instead of thinking about all the things you didn't get done or who done you wrong. I want you to appreciate who you are exactly as you are. And those are things that I believe are the foundation to good mental health. Because if you can't approve of yourself, then you don't have that base with which to soothe yourself when bad things happen. Don't sweat the small stuff or the big stuff, because in the end, it really doesn't matter. Yesterday, if you missed the show, I gave you a bunch of Happy 88 tools. You can get that on my free subscribe YouTube channel to listen to. So I like that I am a good motivational speaker. I love being on stage. I'm a very shy Leo. Sarcasm is another service I offer. And I am appreciative of my ability to help people feel better about themselves. I appreciate that I am a good listener 88% of the time, or maybe 44% of the time. Definitely better speaker than listener, but I'm working on it. 3, I am appreciative of my ability to just do it. The gospel according to Nike. I appreciate my ability to multitask and do 8 things at the same time. And I appreciate that I know that I have probably 8,888 days left on the planet. And that means that I want to make every single day count. That's why my motto for the past is no regrets, and my motto for the future is don't die wondering. And that is it with Breakfast with Dr. Marissa. Thank you for joining me. I promise you that if you do this for 28 consecutive days, you will start your day in the most positive way and for no money at all. Change the way that you feel about your life, because bottom line is life does not suck. It's a great thing. All right, let's move to celebrating this day. Let me say it exactly correctly, because nope, that's not it. I don't want to misquote National Day today, because they're very serious about celebrating each day, and that's why I love them so much. The International Day commemorating the victims of acts of violence based on religion or belief. Let me say that one more time. Now you know why I wanted to get it right. International Day commemorating the victims of acts of violence based on religion or belief. And that is today, August 22nd, 2023. So I'm going to jump right to it and introduce you to someone who is the perfect person to highlight and to mark this particular day.
Speaking of inspirations, today's guest is someone who absolutely does take the positive on a very negative situation or something that he has gone through. My guest is Frederick. He was a 15-year-old boy in his native Rwanda. He was dragged from a bus and brutally attacked by the Hutu militia rebels. When he refused to kill 17 fellow passengers, the rebels hacked off Frederick's hands with machetes and left him for dead. With every reason to hate, to hurt, to fade from life, Frederick instead has become a Rwandan genocide survivor and co-founder of the Ubumwe Community Center, an organization that helps people like me to discover their purpose and abilities in spite of their circumstances. Please welcome to my studio the author of Frederick, A Story of Boundless Hope.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, Frederick. And we also have in the studio today Reverend Carolyn Wilkins, who actually introduced me to Frederick and asked to have him on. And of course, I said yes. She's a dear sister of mine. She actually came to my hospital bed and prayed with me when I had my hip replacement a couple years ago. So here she is, Reverend Carolyn Wilkins. And she is very a leader at the Agape International Spiritual Center, also a consultant and a teacher. So we welcome her. So Frederick, let's start with you. As I do with all of my guests, I'd like you to take me back to that point that I just described. And in order to do so, I want to connect with you through breath, through chi. So I'm just going to close my eyes gently and ask you to do the same, and just take a deep breath in and releasing through the mouth. as I settle in and I just connect with you and feel your presence and feel who you are. And then gently opening your eyes. Tell me what happened when you were 15.
Well, when I was 15 years old, I was live with my family, and the situation there and my in Rwanda, it was really hard.
Mm.
So I was traveling, going to see my aunt, who her husband was killed, um, and I stopped in a way. I mean, what happened there at 1998?
Mhm.
That's what this happened to
Right?
me. Was part of the killer who was killing during the Palestine during the genocide.
Right?
They just come back, continue to kill people. So
So this was
I
after
was
the
yes,
pact was signed. There was not supposed to be any more killing, correct?
right.
So this was after the peace pact had been signed.
It was after
Okay.
almost like 3 years.
3 years
Yeah,
after. So you had no inkling that there was any danger. You get on the bus.
we're in my area where I grew up in a village. It was security, but we can hear this story happen to other villages
Uh-huh.
where the killers that have done like 5 people, 10,
Hmm.
and in a moment where I was going to see what happened to my aunt, her husband was killed. That's a message we get. Going there to see how I can help her,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get chance to be able to help her because what happened, they kill her until Hamwe stop the bus
Mm-hmm.
and take everybody out, and
They had guns.
guns,
Mm-hmm.
machete, and some the wood.
Mm-hmm.
That is kind of material they use, it's their weapons.
Okay.
When they was stop the bus,
Right.
everybody know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
The most people are the adult, but at that moment, it was everybody from a different village, different town.
Right.
There was we was included on the bus.
Okay.
That means that they were Tutsi, Hutu.
So there
There
was
was everybody was in
everybody
it,
was
but
on the
you can
bus. It
tell
wasn't
yes,
just one group. And
right.
and,
It
and let me
was
just interrupt you for 1 second. For those listeners who weren't aware or didn't listen to news at that time, just a brief, an estimated 800,000 people were killed in 100 days in the 1994 Rwandan genocide. Thousands more were maimed and mutilated, and rebel attacks continued for many years after 1994. More than 300,000 children were separated from their families or orphaned. Rwanda, a small landlocked nation in Central Africa, is one of the poorest and most underdeveloped nations in the world. The genocide dramatically impacted Rwanda's education system and, of course, your life. So, just a little bit of history for those of you who don't remember what happened. So,
right.
but it was supposed to be over. So you had Rwandans of all kinds. You had the Tutus and you had the other groups as well.
Well, if you are in Rwanda, it's hard to tell. Like this is the Hutu, this is the Tutsi.
Yes.
We are one. We are Rwandan.
Yes.
But the current, they know who are
How do
because
they
they can
know?
see they during the time before they
Mhm.
use the ID card, but that time
ID.
it was not supposed to be written Hutu or Tutsi because it was over,
Right.
and they just decide that they have to kill all. They
Uh-huh.
don't says because there was a situation. They
Right.
I think they plan to kill everybody,
They
but it,
still wanted to kill the Tutsis,
right
even though
and
they were not supposed to. Okay,
right.
got it.
And I was 15 years
Hmm.
old. I think they chose me to train me to kill, to be able to join them to kill. That's what I feel like. When the moment when they tie our arms and using a rope, they can, or you can tell they're going to kill us.
Mm.
So they asked me to kill all my fellow passenger,
Mm-hmm.
and I said no,
Mm.
kill me first. That was another one moment I feel God gave him a chance
Mm.
to live
Mm.
until today.
Wow.
And they beat me around, they strapped me, and they just hit by guns,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
they
And you knew you were going to probably die by saying no.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
But you
I was
weren't
about to
afraid?
die.
You weren't afraid?
I was um, deeply
Okay.
afraid. Already died.
Yeah. I just
I
want
was
to be
deeply
clear.
died.
Okay.
Already
But
died.
no matter how afraid you were, you would not kill the fellow passengers.
Because I know that is sin. It's hard
Mm.
to kill the people we met in a bus.
Mm.
My brother, my sister.
Right.
I feel as a Rwandan,
Mhm.
we know what was happening before
Mhm.
because when you kill somebody no reason, I was not able to do that
Right.
because I know what
You knew
God
it was, yeah.
doesn't wanted
Yeah.
me.
Okay. So then you're resigned to probably getting killed. They tied your arms
They tell everybody in arms
and then
and take them off clothes.
mhm,
They
stripped you.
take
Okay.
the clothes on
Yep.
and they kill everybody as an example to show me that if I don't do that, they will do that to me too.
Wow.
But as I was standing in the buffalo leg and I say no, they punish me to cut off my hands
Mm.
as to show other Rwandan.
Mm.
That was a punish. So, but they said that they're going to give him a message to send to the village. That was a message was to cut off my hands.
Wow.
But before, for me, I feel like they're going to write paper so I
Mhm.
can hand out to someone. I didn't realize
You
that they're
didn't.
going to
Okay.
cut off my hands. So
Uh-huh.
in the moment, they decide to cut off my hands by
Wow.
machete.
Wow.
It take like many times to be able to cut off because the machete was really dull.
It wasn't sharp. So
Yeah,
oh,
because some
I'm so
they
I'm
use
sorry.
they use for a long time to kill people cutting wood. Mm.
I am sorry. I am
Sorry.
sorry that that happened.
Don't be sorry, God in no way.
Yes. Yes,
Can't
but
have it Adam purpose.
at the same time when things like that happen, I want to, I'm not feeling sorry for you, but I'm sorry that that happened. That must have been horrific
Thank
as a
you.
15-year-old. I mean, I just can't even imagine. And then instead of feeling sorry for yourself, instead of going to the streets to beg, you decided,
Well, that moment, I was living in a hospital
mhm.
actually, which is was hard to be
So
able to hand out what I was living the life
right,
situation.
right.
I decided that I want to go to beg and see
Mhm.
where I can get help,
Right.
and I found that it's not really easy for me to even to carry things, to carry
Right.
food
Right.
with me with no hands, and
Mhm.
decide that is not really good to begging. I
Right.
decided to help, ask the other people join me,
Mhm.
put hand together. I'm not begging.
Right.
So I decide I go back to the orphanage where I used to live and share with my friend
Mhm.
Zachary.
Mhm.
He was my teacher, and I share with him this story. And at the moment,
Mhm.
just come a call from California, Venice. She came
Yes.
over there in Rwanda.
Uh-huh.
We talk around, share what was going on,
Right.
and finally she say how I can
Help you.
help.
Mhm.
So I said let's have the center where the people can come socialize and get education
Mhm.
by not even going into the class, but they can learn from each other what was going
Right.
that to help each other and
That's
feeling and hope
mhm.
to get
Beautiful.
back.
Hope.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. If you've just joined us, I have the privilege and the honor of speaking with Frederick, who is here sharing his life story of how, as a 15-year-old, he lost both of his hands to the Rwandan regime. They did not convince him, even with that, to join the rebel forces. And he's here, and we're just so privileged to have him. And we also have with him one of his team. And she is a director of global works at the Agape International Spiritual Center. Carolyn, Reverend Carolyn, how did you meet Frederick? And
I met Frederick through Jessica McCall and Jesse's Place, who you'll meet in a few minutes. And what is so intriguing is Jessica shared the story with me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I knew Frederick was coming, and I was all prepared, and I was filled with this sadness and oh my goodness, how could they do that? And
Mm-hmm.
I had similar emotions.
Would like to do some help in our backyard. It would be great if you could do that, because I think the whole idea that we are somehow patriotically bound, I think I call it planet patriotism, is what I would like to see. That we all care about everyone instead of just who's within our boundaries. So that's my little Dr. Marissa insert there. Frederick, one of the most fascinating parts of your story is the one where you ran into the guy who actually chopped your hands off. Tell me about that.
I was sitting in a cafe shop,
Hmm.
having coffee, and this man walking into
How many years
inside.
after this?
Well, it was
How old were you?
I was around 17,
70.
18.
So couple
Yeah,
3 years
couple,
later.
yeah.
Okay.
Because I was living in a hospital for a long time, and
Right.
I moved in the hospital 1 year, and
Uh-huh.
I went to the orphanage. So in the orphanage, when I was walk out,
Hmm.
visit your friends,
Uh-huh.
so they take me to that place. So where actually I met this man.
Hmm.
He walk inside. He
And you
know who
knew.
I am,
He
but
knew.
I don't know. I
You
don't know
didn't know.
him
Okay.
because the faces was, you know,
You
and
were in trauma. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, in a bad situation, sometimes you don't
Of
know what's
course.
going on.
Of
And
course.
he knew me. He asked, he said that, I know who you are. And I said, how you know me? Well, this man, he tried keeping telling me what was going on. I hear that who was one, and he told me this, what he done to me. I feel like he was asking forgive, and other
Mm.
way I can feel that even he was open to share that
Mm-hmm.
is not
Mm-hmm.
something easy to tell. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was sitting with a sister, and he was having a friend come over there, so he said that means it's kind of a testimony. When I say this, I really feel like the way I responded to him was good to me. I
Mm.
tell him after he done to tell me, I said, even before you tell me this, I was already forgive you,
Mm.
and now I forgive you because I know that forgive is a key of
Mm-hmm.
life.
Mm-hmm.
Because into the hospital, I was learning so many things, saying people helping me,
Mm-hmm.
giving me love, giving me hope.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
it was another way I feel like God use other way to figure out, because I know that
Mm-hmm.
if I don't forgive him, I'll keep tie with him. But if I
Ah.
will forgive him, I will lift him and I will be free.
Ah.
Because when you forgive, you have a
You.
power, you have a good life, you have
Yes. Yes. That's
everything
beautifully.
from that.
So when you don't forgive someone, you're
You keep
tied to them.
to him, yeah,
But when you forgive, you set
openly.
them and yourself free.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I'm a big cheerleader for forgiveness. If you've
Thank
listened to
you.
my show, I
Mm,
absolutely, I have this little saying, if you don't forgive and you're really angry at someone and you hate them and you don't want to look at them, to not forgive is like I'm going to gouge out my own eye so I don't have to look at you anymore. So I'm hurting myself more than I'm hurting that person by not
absolutely.
forgiving. And but for those of us who are realists, and I'm not actually, but I'm going to say this on behalf of the listening realists. Were you never angry with him? Were you never bitter? Were you ever, that first year in the hospital? Was there a point where where did you get this enlightenment, or what I would say, what decided? I'm sure it's the same force that gave you the courage to say, I'm not going to kill the passengers. But share with me what happened in the hospital. Were there things that happened, or
Well, and life in hospital was not easy,
Mhm.
as you don't have hands, you
Yeah.
don't have everything. You feel you're lost.
Right.
I was feel useless, hopeless,
Mhm.
feel painful. Every day hunger for my life was really completely difficult to live without hands.
Mhm.
And once time I would take a decision to kill myself by using medicine. I
Mm.
was correcting from
Uh-huh. The
every day.
daily. Right, right.
Daily I keep them and I
Uh-huh.
put them together. And one night, during the night, actually, before other people sleeping, because I say that, but it was not a place to sleep. It was a place painful for everybody. Have
Mm.
a wound, have a problem, a leg cut off.
Right,
So
right.
for me, I feel like I don't want to leave
Mhm.
because I was still and painful
Mm.
from both arms where it comes like fire, and I feel like how I live without the
Mhm.
hands.
Right.
So that moment I take a decision. I ate all
You
the
did.
medicine
Okay.
and I waiting to die.
Mm.
Next morning I
Mhm.
was alive.
You're
And it was
Were
I
you
tried to
mad? Were you mad?
well I
Or are
was
you
really
glad?
like feel like I don't feel like this was a medicine I ate all, but I didn't die. This
Mhm.
is kind of like magic. I feel like how why I didn't die.
Right, right.
Why? Because but I was still have some painful from medicine because my
You
neck
weren't
was a
supposed to
solid
take
there.
that. Yes.
And but because I would do it and secret, I don't want to show everybody.
Right.
I know what was wrong, and but I can feel the way that my body was weak. But
Right.
finally, I didn't die, and I said, God left me for a reason.
Mm.
And I can feel that moment when I was angry for myself.
Mhm.
I turn like because in the hospital all
Mhm.
the time, I will have
Mhm.
a song singing over
Right.
there. Means God was listening to that
Mm.
song, and
Mhm.
because promise God says when three people sitting talking about me, I'm sitting between them. So I
Mm.
realized that God always watching me.
That's
That's how I
beautiful.
feel like I want to take a moment to think, not to think only myself, but to
Mhm.
think to other people
Mhm.
and share them a story. Because when you share a story,
Mhm.
again, it's where you found a moment for getting medicine by
Yes.
telling a story, what happened to you, what it was, how
Mhm.
hard it was. So, and sometimes you help yourself, you help other people by
Beautiful.
telling them a
Yes.
story.
Yes. So you knew that by you knew you were supposed to be alive for a reason because you couldn't even kill yourself.
Absolutely, yes.
Right?
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
good sign right there that you're on the planet for a purpose. And that is beautiful what you just said too, is that by telling your story, by talking about the bad things that happen to yourself in a way that is to relate and help other people, you help yourself as well. And that's
Mm,
beautiful. That is
thank you.
beautiful. And this is a great time to show this beautiful book
Mhm.
that you've put together. It's called Frederick, A Story of Boundless Hope. And you can get this. It just was released, correct? And I am so grateful. I have a copy because
Thank
I have a show. I get to collect these wonderful things from my inspirational guests. But I am giving one away since they call me the Asian Oprah. I'm not up to cars yet, but I am going to be giving away at one of these at the end of the show, and I'll let you know how. But it's a beautiful story, and I'm going to let Linda tell us about other things that you're doing right now, and how any of my listeners that are in Southern California can meet you and get a signed copy of the book. This is
Mhm.
also available on Amazon, I'm sure, right?
Yes.
So all the regular places. But Linda, your turn. Tell me how you are supporting Frederick
Oh, well,
and the things you're doing.
the way I'm supporting Frederick and through Jesse's
Mhm.
Place.
And
Um,
what is Jesse's Place in a
Jesse's
couple of sentences?
Okay, well, Jesse's Place is a group of programs that works in conjunction with the Ubumwe Center.
Got it.
the programs that Jesse's Place support are mostly the home visit program that Jessica was speaking about, and the the deaf and the blind programs, and we have other programs. We're really focusing on the impoverished rural areas right now.
Beautiful.
So many people are coming to the center now, doing so well that now we're able to expand, and that expansiveness is where we're focusing right now.
So any of the events that Frederick is at right now is a fundraising effort, and all of those funds go towards the center and the home visits and how you're able to help in Rwanda. Is that about right?
Yes.
Perfect. So tell
That's
me
right.
about some of the events. By someone near San Diego. Tell me about that one. To get prosthetics done.
Well, this happened in 2003. It was not Santiago, it's in Ohio State.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm so
Well,
California.
I was living in orphanage. When I
Yes.
was there, living there, feel like almost the same kind of anger for like no hands there.
anger,
So
right,
trying
right.
to help myself because in orphanage, that's where I learned so many things.
Mhm.
It took me a long time to be able to handle what enemy. In the
Yes.
orphanage, I learned how to feed myself,
Clothe
wear,
yourself.
put in the clothes
Mhm.
and shower,
Yes.
because you know how many times the soap slept in your
I
hands.
bet.
So
I
to me,
bet.
it's 100 times.
Right.
So, but
Right.
I never give
Gave
up.
up.
So by people come to visit there, Charlene and work away for paternal conservation.
Mhm.
She come there as she came to help with the orphanage. They saw me. They know one for the hospital can donate the hand. So
Okay.
I didn't blink now, but I have it. I
You
love it.
have
And
that. Yeah.
I called it finger, 2 fingers. So we
Mm-hmm.
met and they brought me there. That's how Jessica saw me on TV talking
Okay,
about it,
that
how
was the one.
beautiful
Ah, yeah.
this hands was work, and I will use them like the goal was to use them and build
Right.
house actually. So in 2003, that's my first time coming in America,
Right.
and now I feel it's home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Several things I have to say right now. One is we take so much for granted. We take so much for granted. The water, when you were talking about the water, the hands not being able to hold soap, and we complain as Americans. We have this habit of complaining, and I hope if you haven't joined me on my 21-day fast from complaining, that if this show is not the jump off point for that, to just be so grateful. And two, you had so many points at which you could have not do what you're doing. Oh, that's not good grammar, but even your anger, or even coming to the States and getting the treatment and the gift of the hands, you could have stayed here. You could have stayed here and probably had a very comfortable, people who love you and extend their home. But instead, what do? You go back to your home, Rwanda, to help people like you. And that is just like, hold on, take a breath. That was a compliment. Okay. And I yell at everybody that they don't take their compliments. So look at me for a second, take a breath, and say xie xie.
Share.
That's Chinese for my Chinese namaste, because that is amazing. And I wanted to commend you for that. And actually, on that note, I'm giving you the DrMarissa Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award right now in this moment. Thank you so much. A little applause there. Because really, he didn't have to do that, right? He did not have to do that. You could have stayed here, but instead you turned. And by default, also, I'd like to offer both Linda and Jessica that same award, because from teddy bears to a center, and now you're moving out there and just being part of this incredible. I love the way you started it. I'm not going to meet Martin Luther King. I'm not going to meet Gandhi, but I am going to meet this woman. And guess what? You've become that woman. And I am blessed to have you on the show. I'm going to say she's not Mother Teresa, she's Mother Jessica.
Thank you so much.
So also beneficial presence on the planet of Earth. That's amazing. That's amazing. We're coming up against the end of the show, but I do want to first make sure you get a copy of Frederick's book and be inspired. Is there anything that you would like to tell my listeners about anything? What would you like to leave us with?
Well, the big things that I can end this conversation without a thank to all everybody what follow us and this conversation, and also um, back home. Thanks to every Rwandan support me an idea to make me who I am, especially government.
The government's
Follow
helping.
us, helping us to
That's
be
beautiful.
able to speak out
Thank
because
you.
every Rwandan has a story, but it's not
Yes.
everybody get a chance to come and tell a story. I would like to tell, especially young people, to be always on a positive way and still keeping that they want the way, good way, and take good decision.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes. And
Yes.
thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you to Frederick and Linda and Jessica and Sharon for doing the interpreting. This has been an amazing show, very inspirational. Please don't hesitate and please get this book. It is time at the end of the show.
Wow. I do not often get a chance to watch myself. And I, you know, in that appreciation mode, I am so fortunate to be able to meet people like Frederick and Jessie, who's on the other side, and she's truly beautiful. If we have time, I'll go back and this show is dedicated to Jessie McCall, who started the Zimbabwe Center in Rwanda, and I'm super happy to tell you that they not only have one center now, they have two centers, and her work continues even though she's on the other side. I know that she's loving us from there and just beaming with pride, even though I'm sure you don't feel pride necessarily in heaven, but totally, I am truly blown away by just revisiting this amazing interview with Frederick. And I will definitely be working on getting him back here. We didn't have time this time, but we are marking the International Day commemorating the victims of acts of violence based on religion or belief. National Today brought that to my attention with this interview with Frederick, and truly things that I marked in my noggin when he was speaking was I had forgotten about him trying to kill himself and the trauma of losing your hands. I was hoping that I had that recorded after the end of the interview. He gave me a signed copy of his book, and he actually signed it with his arms that have no hands. I think it was cut about here. The machete cut his arms, both of his arms, about here. And he used, you know, he's learned how to use his arms, that part of his arm, to write. And he signed the book, which was truly amazing. And I brought back that memory. The role of pain, and that'll be my final word. I sort of alluded to it at the beginning, but I know, there's that book, why do bad things happen to good people? And there's another book called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. And you know that I'm one of the 7 out of the 10 of us who've had childhood trauma. And people have said, because I say I don't regret what happened to me, all the horrible things that happened to me, I am grateful for them because they shaped who I am, and I wouldn't change that at all. And so some people will say, but don't you think that you could have become who you are now without going through the beatings, or without going through the emotional being called fat, ugly, and clumsy your entire life, without the very expensive divorce, without the all of the things that shouldn't have happened or were extremely challenging in life, which there are many, many people who cannot get over what happened to them and have a crappy life in spite of all the good that happens, because they can't get over what has happened to them in the past. And at the risk of saying, and I'm hoping that things have gotten better for him, but this is a great example of what I'm talking about for trauma that's not even necessarily that big trauma, but bullying is not fun, and being rejected is not fun. And I'll never forget that interview that Howard Stern did, where he was talking about still reacting and remembering and wanting to go back to all the girls who had said no to him when he asked them out, and say, don't you regret, turning me down now? Look at me, look at me. And it's that same thing when men come to me, and mostly men come to me with relationship happiness coaching, and they say, I cannot get close to women because I got my heart broken. And I asked them how old, and they're like 16. And so they're 50 something now. And so when you cannot see pain for what it is as a vehicle with which to go through and come out into power, then you will not have a good life. You will not be happy 88% of the time. So I'm hoping you can remember Frederick and how he has taken losing his hands, his half of his arm and his hands, as an example of what pain is for, because now his life has so much meaning in building rehabilitation centers in Rwanda, helping those who have lost limbs. All those people, Malala, Frank was saying, he reminded him of Malala. We're all here on the planet. And if 7 out of 10 of us have had trauma, that's the majority. If that's what we're here for, which is to take what has happened to us and turn it into a position of power to do wonderful things on the planet while we're here in life, that is what life is for. And as a result of doing all those things, feel pretty darn good about ourselves and about life. That's my final word. I'm Dr. Marissa. It is all about balance. I hope you enjoyed today's show in particular. Peace in, peace out. World peace through inner peace. Now go and have the best day ever. We'll see you tomorrow.